DHS and Federal Emergency Management has come out with a new alert for all ICE agents, for all the people that are serving in that capacity. It's amazing how we designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist group. However, now we're starting to see the implications of that, and we're starting to see the heat come upon our agents like we saw in Dallas. But wait till you hear what some of these facilities are dealing with right now and how we must resolve it. We'll be discussing that because, again, remember, they're the ones that are keeping us safe. There's a video that was shown that even in the situation with Dallas, the ICE agents were protecting the people that they had taken in, and they started getting them to safety. It shows that people that are doing the right things will face the persecution of the ones who are doing the evil. We'll discuss that. Also, Trump gets a massive win. He demands one country do something. And you know, you're thinking, oh, this little country doesn't mean anything. Wait till you hear what Singapore means to America when it comes to prescriptions. You know, Made in America is a big deal. And until we realize that everything that we need, if we can't be independent on them, meaning making it here in America, we're always dependent on someone else. Trump gets a huge win here. Wait till you hear what he did and how the tariffs are working. Also, we're going to hear about a whistleblower, someone who was in these Muslim schools in America. You know how they're building all these little communities and neighborhoods, and they're telling you, hey, we're about peace. We're not wanting any kind of craziness, all that radical stuff in the Middle East. That's not us. Well, that's a lie. Wait till you hear there's a whistleblower that went in and said the exact same things that are radicalizing in Middle East, the same educational series that they're getting is happening here too. You don't believe it. Look at Dearborn. All of a sudden they run a Christian minister out yesterday from speaking and preaching. Now they're doing 5 a.m. prayer time across the city speakers all the way through the day. Muslim calls to prayer. Is that what America and freedom were set up on? Should we be having this? I don't remember anything about having church where the government embraced it. They're usually trying to tell us the separation of church and state, all this fake stuff. But now we're allowing Muslim calls to prayer as the city condones it. Wait till you hear this. And then lastly, we're going to talk about education, how they just busted one of the biggest superintendents in one of the states for being illegal. And then he tried to pull a weapon on them. Get your kids out of these schools, because until you see that these liberal schools and liberal states and liberal cities are running these institutions, you wonder why our kids are being left and not cared for, and also getting brainwashed. Let's dive into all these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. You can tell we're not in our normal farm scene or in the back porch. We had to go out of town, so you'll be seeing that on Life with Colby Mac vlog. Go check it out if you want to know where we're at or what we're doing. But today we're in the car. There was some weather that came across us, so we said, you know what, it's better just to be in the car and not have to be outside and getting rained upon. So first let's talk about Trump. Trump had two major announcements that came across today that I think really hit home, and really it opened doors for what we're wanting in America. You know, we push America first, and he's actually doing this. Now, there's things that we wish could move faster. There's things that we wish they could move better. But ultimately, they're moving in the right direction. Also, tariffs are doing really good. Now, you have the libertarians and you have the Democrats saying that how bad they are. But to be honest with you, we've brought more money into the country than ever before. Our groceries, all the things that we're buying, all that stuff is still the same price. It's still crazy expensive. It should be going down. But the tariffs have not caused that. A lot of the things that the tariffs have done is actually helped Americans. Prime example, listen to this story. Singapore faces biggest hit from Trump's pharma tariffs. This is following Trump's new tariffs on imported branded goods such as drugs. Singapore, which specializes in high-value patented medicines, could see a tariff rate that hits 4% to then now 30%, so it goes up 26%. The story says, and this is from Mario Nafal, it says, Japan and South Korea are shielded by trade deals. India is safe because of mainly exporting generics. Singapore not so lucky. Economists say it's most at risk because they want the full made in America. Singapore knows that if they want to continue doing business, they're going to have to build in America. It says big players like Novartis and AstraZeneca saw this coming and started breaking ground on U.S. plants months ago. With pharma making up 8% of Singapore's exports and the factories slowing down is hitting hard, it means that Made in America needs to happen with American pharmaceuticals. Now, what this is this is not just like Singapore or India and all these places that their economies are based on these things. It's the fact that a lot of our American businesses has started putting these factories in these third world countries or in these areas that have lower labor rates and all that stuff. Well, Trump has been pushed, Made in America, making things back here, bringing people back home. Well, part of this is the tariffs with the pharma. Now, pharma is you've seen Eli Lilly build a plant here. You've seen I think we're up to 500 or 600 billion investment just in pharma companies coming back home. So AstraZeneca and Novartis, both of those are part of the same thing as Eli Lilly. They came back home. And so Singapore has several patented drugs that they use that pretty much are owned by American companies, but they put them over there so it's cheaper and they can make more money. Well, Trump is calling their hand, saying, look, if you want to do that, just remember, I'm going to hit you with a higher tariff. Now, the kicker is this. If they're depending on the government to cover the cost, the government just said they're not going to cover the cost. They're not going to go up on their Medicare. They're not going to go up on the people. What they're saying is the only way you win is you come back to America's shore. Now you're starting to see those Singapore plants literally come back to America. They're saying they're going to start breaking ground back here. And so when we need independence, this is a big deal. A lot of people are on pharmaceuticals. Again, I challenge you, if you don't have to be on any kind of medicine, please don't use herbal remedies and learning how to make your body. I mean, food is medicine. You do realize that, guys. If you keep putting junk into your body, then you're going to have junk out of your body, meaning you're going to have problems. But if you put holistic, good quality organic foods and ones that you're growing, natural foods, not junk food, but true, good, wholesome food, it's going to make a huge difference, of course, in your diet, but not only that, in your health. So first of all, please try to clean up your diet and try to clean up your life to have a healthier lifestyle so you won't need medicine. But to be honest with you, a lot of people are on medicine. It says that 70% of Americans are on some kind of pharmaceutical. If that's the case, that means we need these American products in America, independently. Not made and brought in from all over the seas, because for one thing, how dangerous is it that they're coming over with days and weeks of transportation instead of being done and actually to the shelves within just the matter of days? That would be huge, and it'd be coming from another state that's getting help. This is a big deal. So Trump gets a massive win here. There was another announcement that Trump made. Listen to this. Is there peace in Hamas and Israel? Now, I don't believe this. I told you I don't believe no matter how many peace negotiations we have, I think this is biblical, and I don't think we're ever going to see true peace in Israel. But I will say this. Hamas has agreed to principle in Trump's proposed Gaza ceasefire plan. It was brokered by, of course, the U.S. and Trump, but also Qatar. It says included immediate release of all Israeli hostages and exchanges for Israeli freeing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. It says also there is Israel halting plans to demolish other annexes in Gaza, but will gradually start withdrawing only if Gaza is not under the control of Hamas to cause problems for Israel. The reason this is a big deal, do I believe there'll be peace? No, I told you that. But Israel has always stated, yes, it's our land, but all we want is our hostages back. If all of a sudden Trump negotiates a peace deal for a season, again, I don't believe you'll have full peace, but if we can get peace for a season in this area, this is a big deal. And not only that, if Trump is willing, have you not realized that most, Republican rhinos, like, the Lindsey Grahams, even down to the John Thunes, Mitch McConnells, all these people, they always push for war. Something's wrong, let's send troops. Let's send military. I think this is so positive to have a leader who looks for peace, not war. Trump has negotiated around 15 peace negotiations since he's been back in office. Now, we don't hear about a lot of those because they don't deal with us as much. I mean, prime example, do you realize the war on Christianity right now? A lot of places like Congo, a lot of places like Nigeria, and a lot of places like Northern Africa, all those places are facing major persecutions. And Trump is trying to keep Christians safe. So that's why a lot of the negotiations and tariffs and leverage is there. But let's go back to the Israel situation. Will there be peace? Probably not for a long time. But at least for a season, if we can get the hostages back, which some of these were Americans, some of these were held and basically starved. So this could be a good move. And again, Trump trying to get peace here is way better than like Bush or Carter or Clinton, because every one of those guys were all like, oh, we want peace, but then at the same time they were sending military aid over there to bomb them. So I do like the fact that Trump is using a little bit more leverage even with Qatar, and I like the fact that they're trying to get the hostages back. Yet has Trump said we're going to war. Yet has Trump put tons of troops over there and making it look like we're fixing to go back into a Middle Eastern 20-year war. You know, just like the Bagram thing that he talked about the other day. It was never about saying we're going back over to Afghanistan to be over Bagram. It was just saying we're getting threats from Al-Qaeda. Why don't we just own the airport over there like we did? We built it. We built the Air Force Base. It's one of the biggest in the world. And Biden just let it go. Hundreds of billions of dollars are our tax basis that we just wasted and gave to the Taliban and to the Al-Qaeda and to Muslims. Is that really what we should have done? No. Yes, we should have got out of it. Yes, we should have kept the base. It's our base. And we're fixing to get into talking about the situation with DHS and ICE, because that's the biggest story of the day. But before we do, I want to mention one more thing. These Muslim schools. This is a report from someone that was living in these Muslim institutions. And this was a lady. She kind of came out of it. But listen to this. It says, Muslims don't want you to hear this. And to be honest with you, I'll probably get censored off of social media. It says, but every Muslim kid in America is studying the same teaching that IS and Al-Qaeda is teaching their children. Jihad against the infidels is obligatory and mandatory on every Muslim in order for them to implement Islamic law in every country on earth. It says martyrdom is the highest achievement in reward in Islam. Every Muslim has a loyal face to Islamic State. Meaning, when they tell you they're about peace, they're not learning this, they're not teaching radicalization. What she's saying it's happening in our American schools when they build these Muslim subdivisions and they have these Muslim schools. She said they're teaching them how to radicalize, and they're teaching them how to take over the country that they're building these schools in, i.e. Europe. And they said here the same way. She said, we went through the same teaching here in America under a Muslim rule that they did in the Middle East. She said, if we don't pay attention, they're going to cause more chaos in America because their goal is to destroy this freedom of experience of America. And she said, they're willing to give their life up for it because they believe they're going to get so much more in the afterlife. So they're willing to give it up for the greater good, for the next guy to keep on going and furthering Muslim rule in America. The Sharia law thing, that's happening. Dearborn, Michigan just came in and told a Christian minister to get out of the town. And now they're doing calls of prayer starting at 5 a.m. There's been some residents who are not Muslim who are saying, look, we don't agree with this. And they got shouted down and they had no leg to stand on when they went and tried to handle the business at the city court and the city meetings. The board, they even let them hardly talk, because ultimately they're going to instill this Muslim Sharia law. It's already happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's going to happen now in Dearborn, Michigan. It's going to keep taking place. And the more we allow these schools to be built on our ground of foreign leaders telling their children to harm America, it's amazing that we're allowing this to take place on American soil. This is the kind of stuff that we should not be allowing to happen. That's why we don't want to be distracted with our children and how they're being raised. Prime example, that was the Muslim situation. Let's look at the Antifa situation. Liberal schools are destroying our youth. That's what the DHS big issue is that a lot of these kids that are growing up, they want violence because all they've learned is how bad capitalism is, how bad America is. So they're coming up with this anarcho state that's going to ultimately cause for more damage. For instance, look at Dallas. I mean, one killed and several wounded, all because he wanted to go against ICE. But before we talk about how they live out their life, like we talked about the school system, listen to this school story that just came out. The largest school district in Iowa, in Des Moines, just arrested their superintendent. He is an illegal immigrant from Guyana. It says that he was trying to flee, he was armed, and he is an immigrant from Africa. How in the world did he get this job? Did no one check his credentials? But here's the bigger problem. Is this just a Des Moines, Iowa problem? No, this is a problem with all the school systems in America. They're not vetting these people enough to say, look, it's all about freedom, yes, but we should love America. What happened to teachers teaching math, history, science? What happened to that? Now we just indoctrinate our children. And this is a prime example. Do you honestly believe this guy talked about America and how good America was? No, he was illegal and actually was living basically under false pretenses here, and they hired him in the biggest school district in Iowa. This is a reoccurring problem. This, though, is the start, the root of the problem of what we're raising with Antifa, what we're raising with these kids causing violence like at Charlie's situation. Let's go to the DHS stories, because this goes along with this. It's from 18 to 30 years old. The people that are radicalized now are 40% more wanting for violence against the other side compared to the last generation. That's scary. So we're raising up children not only to just speak against American freedom, now we're raising them up to harm other Americans. Breaking ICE facility riot, firearms seized, and security now is on high alert at all DHS locations with ICE affiliates there. DHS is hardening all facilities after a firearm was confiscated in an ICE riot in Chicago, where they were trying to get into the facility armed and loaded. Now remember, J6, everybody talked about how that was the worst day in history. There was not one firearm there. There was American flags flying everywhere. There was freedom talked about. Now, this is happening in Chicago. No one wants to talk about it. But there's literally firearms, illegal firearms, trying to get in there, people, Antifa, to cause harm and damage like they did in Dallas, like they're doing in Portland, like they're doing in these liberal areas. Now, where's Pritzker? Where's Chicago's mayor saying how dangerous this is for the ICE facility? ICE is holding people there, and now these people are trying to break in and cause a quote-unquote deadly attack. So now DHS, all their ICE facilities are on urgent alert to watch out for what's going on, to make sure that this is going to be safe for Americans. Listen to this. It says, this is a serious failure on behalf of the Trump administration. This is from a reporter, Savannah Hernandez. She said that the fact that the ICE vehicles are still being mobbed and nothing is being done. And this is where I was saying a while ago. Our focus is on so many things, but this is a direct attack of Antifa on U.S. service members, on policemen, on other people that serve us. Now, Trump just came out and declaimed them domestic terror. Where in the world is DHS and where in the world is DOJ and locking these people up and putting them in prison? They're causing for massive riots against other Americans. That should be a major crime. We need to arrest these people. DHS announced that they have confiscated several firearms at several different sieges where ICE was held in their own buildings. And here's the thing. If they go outside, how dangerous is it going to be? Are you going to see a major shootout happen at these ICE facilities now? We must do something about this. Another report says the only way that DHS, ICE, and emergency management could get off urgent alert is that these liberal cities, liberal states, and liberal ideologies that is pushing this rhetoric stops talking and starts working alongside us. Now, just like the school systems, just like the Muslim situation, just like Dearborn with the call to prayer and the liberals are allowing to take place. You know why that'll never happen? Because they need chaos. We'll never have peace. They'll never trust and help Trump fulfill making America great because they don't want that. They don't want that. I mean, we're talking about Antifa. We're talking about liberal cities. We're talking about education. We're talking about Muslims. Do you realize all the things that we discussed today, every one of them, the problems all stem from liberal ideology, leftist ideas, and indoctrination from a young age in these leftist areas. If you went to Chicago or Portland or Jackson or Memphis and you talked to people, most of them would blame the Trump administration or Republicans for the series of problems they're having in those cities. And did you know this? Every one of those cities have been under Democrat rule for over 50 to 75 years. All the major cities that have the problems they're having, with the Muslims having the problems, with Antifa having the problems, with ideology, with immigrants coming in, having the problems with school systems broken, having the people living in poverty, on the streets, drugs, all that goes back to one problem. Liberals and Democrat ideology. Now, rhinos are not much better, but here's what I'm saying. If we really want to make America great again, and we really want to see peace and a good upbringing for our children, is we've got to quit allowing our children to be indoctrinated at such young age, because that's all they know. When someone comes up in these religions or in these indoctrination camps such as education, what we're doing is we're just teaching them to hate America. We've got to do better, guys. Teach your children, ground your children in faith, but also teach them common sense and wisdom, seeking wisdom. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, we appreciate you. God bless. Yeah.